Om Shanti. Imbibe the virtues of sweetness and humility to become great. Vibrations of sweet words. Let there constantly be truthfulness and sweetness in your words, and you will continue to accumulate marks with your words. When you have the virtue of sweetness in your life, every word that you speak will be like a pearl. It will feel as though you are not speaking, but showering pearls. You will speak such words that those who hear them will feel, I too should speak such words. Everyone who hears them will be inspired to follow you and learn to do the same. The vibrations of such sweet words automatically draw others to you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Welcome to Avakti Parivar. Today is day 3. Imbibe the virtues of sweetness and humility to become great. Today's topic, vibrations of sweet words. Pass with honor. Today's topic for the practice, the pull towards distraction. Sweet, sweet child, I am such a companion that I never step away from you. Now we will listen to Mohini Didi.
Om Shanti. Ratan Mohini Didi was our last Dadi in Yagya, and majority of you must have seen her. I was very fortunate that whenever I was here during her physical presence, every night we will go to her and she will read Murli to us, give very, very sweet drishti. And the stories we heard about her, especially night time, that she danced with Sri Krishna. She always talks about heaven, like whole night. Leela was telling me that she just expresses as she is in golden age. It's so beautiful, right, to experience golden age at the night time. Because what I noticed, I know her since she had been coming to, when many, many years ago, wherever in USA, plus other countries she came. She will never, never talk about anyone. Like some people open chapter about someone, but she will never say anything. And because she has uh, nothing against anyone, she doesn't talk about anyone's weaknesses. And that's amazing, no? That because she had nothing for anyone, she won't talk about it. You know, whatever dharana we have now, our last stage of spiritual journey or even physical journey, it will be very beautiful. And then Baba says, as is the end, so will be the beginning. And we saw her end because some or other, even her body was not well. It was decided that she won't go to hospital. Even they had to take her for a day, which was, different opinions, but it felt it was necessary. But she didn't suffer. She did had, little bit of like she was not very conscious or she will forget things, but had no suffering, no pain, nothing. So the way she left also was very beautiful. And now, because very soon her first year of her memorial will be, I think, on 9th, so 8th, okay. So that's why we are um, playing her classes and purely knowledge, purely yoga, service. Even if we tell her to, when she travels, that, Daddy, why don't you rest during day? She said no. Like she was so good in Murli reading, disciplines, and attention on the self was Lord there. So she was, she is the example. I always like her sweetness also. Very respectful. Uh, So we have examples in front of us now. Today's homework to pay attention is the vibrations of the sweet words. Baba said, let there constantly be truthfulness and sweetness. So Baba says, sweetness in your words, and you will continue to accumulate the marks. It's really God's, it's very unique. Okay, Baba is one who knows everything. But how, they say, as you sow, so you reap. How that happens, there is no record. And before Gyan, we used to believe that God has registered for everyone. So whatever you do, it's written there. It's documented. But now we know, no, it's not there. It's within the soul, it gets recorded, right? What we do, what we don't do. But not only that, but still we know that how the nature, we call it Kudrat, how nature is so much in certain, certain, what we call it, name, as some energy where truth is truth, false is false. Everything gets revealed in a proper way. So Baba says that so the inspiration accumulates marks with your words. Sometimes we think it's all right, nobody heard, everyone speaks like that. These are the wasteful thoughts. But what I have to do, there will be accumulation of the marks. When you have, Baba said, the virtue of sweetness in your life, every word that you speak will be like a heart, no, like a pearl. So Baba says it will feel as though you are not speaking, but it is like the shower of the pearls. So sweet that others feel as if pearls are coming out. So Baba says you will speak such words that those who hear them will feel, I too should speak such words. Everyone who hears them will be inspired to follow you and learn to do the same. Many, many young ones, those who have positive attitude, they will always learn. They will always follow. Some are critical. Their nature is very critical. So they can't learn. They will still criticize. Right? So Baba says the vibrations of such sweet words automatically draw others to you. Those who have habit of always taking virtues from others will learn how to speak sweetly from them. Right? So our homework today is to spread the vibrations of sweetness through the words. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Good morning and good evening to everybody. And good morning, Didi.
Good morning.
You know, sometimes when I come to you, I come with a couple of questions and then you come in and you share such things that something else emerges. And today, when you're taking up the subject of words, it reminded me of a memory when Daddy was in Oxford and it was a teacher's retreat. And at that time, a journalist had sent some questions for her. But every time I went to her room, there was a queue. And so the questions stayed the whole weekend. I couldn't get time from her. And Monday morning, she left for London and I didn't get any response. So I sent the questions to Alka in London and I just wrote 2 lines. I said, super busy weekend, couldn't get anywhere near Daddy. Please get the answers. And then Daddy calls me around 11 o'clock in the morning and she said, did you send me an email? I said, no, Daddy. She said, no. That 2-line email you sent and you used the word super busy. And then it was like a 5-minute that he was saying to me, in essence, what I grasped, that your words create your future kingdom. And okay, we might not be critical, but sometimes we're casual with our words, right? And it really made me aware and think that what does it take? Because sometimes people say, yeah, I'm being honest, but they're not being very constructive with their words.
Honest and frank.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, there's not much sweetness and they're not being constructive. So can you just help us to build a bridge between this thing of where I have to sit inside myself so that the words I speak are creating my future kingdom?
See, one of the qualities of a king is royalty. So that means whatever they say is not only royal words, but in a royal way. So sometimes what we're trying to say are sweet words, but not necessarily my feelings are sweet. I am still kind of, let's say I didn't get what I wanted, or I saw something which I didn't like. There is something within us, and when we are speaking, that comes out, right? Even if we are not aware, like you said, super busy, right? So Dadi didn't like it actually. She said, "It's all right. I was busy in service and couldn't talk to you, but why you have to say super busy?" Right? So even that word is not a bad word, right? It's a good word. But feelings were as if, I didn't get time. So feelings are very important. And we should remember, no, when we think of Lakshmi Narayan, I think of Brahma Baba. That how Brahma Baba not only spoke straight words, but his smile, his presence, his vibrations were very, very sweet. And that pulls us because of sweetness was also his love. His love where he wants us to be worthy, where he wants us to be good children, worthy children. So because of all that feeling, I think that, I can definitely see in Baba future Narayan, right? Because the way he was amazingly. So I think that is true that if you are king, then your manners will be royal, kingly manners, highness and holiness. The words will be words of blessing, and words will be words of inspiration. And, with Dadi especially, I know somebody came to me. He was from Australia. Why Daddy point out finger to me or anyone? I said, because Daddy immediately saw your next step in the life. She's having vision of your future. So she points out to you, become this, be this. Which some took it not nicely. And they say, why Daddy commented on me? Many used to feel. But we always felt that now she's seeing what next we have to do. So she points out, not as our weakness or complaint for us, but our future, next step.
So, Didi, is this ability to see this constructive to help us move forward, does it come from a place where I have to have a lot of love for myself? Because if something's missing in that, keep feeling sweet, it requires a lot of maintenance, like clean feelings, untouched feelings. And sometimes when people take signals from Daddy, like you said, in a negative way, it just makes me feel, is it because there's something lacking in love for the self?
Yeah, one of the possible reason could be that, but also, not creating understanding is bringing the bridge or constructive. I would rather go to Dadi and say, please explain me what was your signal. I won't say pointing out.
Okay,
No,
that's
because
good.
somebody pointing to me, but somebody is really inspiring me and is want to tell me what is their vision towards me. You will be surprised today, gentlemen, and I had this role to play. But Dadi had been indicating to us since very beginning. You all have to do this, you all. And sometimes, like we both used to feel, it's too much. We want to be like others. But now I remember her and I said, somewhere directly, indirectly, she used to indicate that even Dadi Prakash Mani, many things she will say. Now I remember that she had told me all this. Because I think like Brahma Baba, Shiv Baba, Dadis also knew our past, present, future.
Yes, yes.
So they were kind of, when they were saying things to us, even we feel, why us? But I remember that means all those seniors have a ability to not only see your future, but they look at your qualifications, good qualities, and they know you will play a role in a big way. It's recognizing that. So I think that our trust should come from Dadi's trust on us.
Yes. I think that's a very valid point. I really liked what you said earlier. You said, we don't trust your virtues. How did they become a power? And I think when I look at the subject of the dharana of sweetness, then one of the questions that came to my mind earlier is I look at our Bholi Bali Matai, the innocent mothers, right? They're so sweet. And partly they're so sweet because they don't think anything. It's like they don't analyze anything, they don't think anything. And then earlier, taking drishti from Bap Dada, and you could feel this presence of softness, of gentleness, no barriers in that presence, no thoughts in that presence. So is it that and when you think of the deities, they're royal Buddhas. So are we becoming royal Buddhas to become sweet?
Why are you saying Buddha?
Well, don't use your intellect. Means don't think about it. I'm just looking at these different examples from the innocent mothers and then Baba's presence. Baba's Yan, but he doesn't think.
Mothers are not Buddha. Mothers are very smart. So I feel that, they have vast experience of having children and then adopting to everything and the role they have to play as wife, as mother, or as sister, whatever way. They need to be innocent. And when they are innocent, that's why they have love for the family. And the way they cook and way they serve. So I always found even my Lokik mother, she looked so innocent. I want to say Buddha, Bhola. But she knew everything, in the sense of advice. I will go and say, okay, what you think, mother? The way she will advise me, do this, do this. So they're not Buddha, they are very wise. That is why they call it wise woman. I never heard Buddha woman, right? They are wise women. Do you all agree? Your mothers are wise, right? But innocent. And why they have to innocent? That's their joy in the life. They are able to serve everyone, because I think they are able to serve because of their innocent, because I remember most of, the mother are so caring. Even if their bodies are not well, they will serve. They will take care of child. They will take care of your food. I have really beautiful memories of my Lokik mother, which you all might have too. Yeah. So
This
Baba chose mothers not because they are Buddha,
yeah.
right?
it was a reference to the deities known as royal Buddhas, but I really like this subject of innocence in relation to sweetness.
Mm.
You know, that innocence is the exercise of virtue, be loving, sacrifice, renunciation, tyag, continue to help someone move forward, and it allows you to forget the past. So, Didi, as a Kumari, I've not, of course, to become a mother, this is one of the toughest challenges if I speak from my own experience, because it's not easy to forget.
I remember that when many of us came to Gyan as teenagers, and many times like I had to go and come very late night. So at least I had been told by Didi Mohini, just be like mother, just be like world mother. So we were told to be like mothers, even we are Lokik, we are not mothers, but we are not only spiritual mothers, but we are also world mothers.
Mm.
Everyone, you know, like any goddess or anyone, they Jagatamba for mama. So she is like world mother, right? So each one of us, Daddy always used to say, if you say miss so and so, you will be gone, you will be missing. Don't use word miss.
Mhm.
Always say mother.
Mhm.
And you will find that in the Lokik world also, when you are spiritual personality, they always call you mother.
Mother, yes, it's true.
This mother, that mother.
It's true.
So I think you are also mother.
Thank you.
Don't say that.
Thank you.
Don't say it's difficult to be a mother.
Thank you, Didi. That was a lovely blessing. I'm looking at time and I could continue playing bat and ball with you, but we have maybe 5 more
Yeah, a
minutes.
few more minutes.
Okay. Didi, can I take up the subject of humility?
Mm.
And I think when you said earlier that being constructive with your words, building a bridge, is part of being humble. There's the misconception about humility that you say yes to everything, bit of a doormat. But then Baba always balances humility with authority. And I'm just wondering for you, what is this authority that is balanced with humility that allows renewal and construction to take place?
I think humility really comes from self-respect, because as much you have self-respect, you will be humble, and you will respect others also, because one of the sign of humility is respecting others.
Mm.
So I think that sometimes they say that great people are humble.
Mm.
You will see all those important people, the way they speak, the way, like the Dadi Prakash Mani, a minister is coming or governor, somebody is coming, and Dadi will bow, and then they will bow. Dadi Prakash Mani had so much humility. Somebody even told Dadi one time, why you bow? She said, it's natural for me.
Wow.
So I will do it. They said, no, being head of organization, you shouldn't. And she said, no, I will. And I feel like respecting them. And then they respect Adi, all gurus and ministers and everyone, because of her humility. So humility comes from dignity. Like you really understand your dignity, so you are humble. Arrogance is something which you create. You're feeling some emptiness in you. So then you fill it with the ego. So that is why even in psychology they say you need to have full ego. Full ego really means full self-respect. What I am, not because of my studies or something, but what Baba looks at me, the way Baba looks at me. Have that self-respect. So there will be
Beautiful.
humility.
Beautiful, beautiful. On a last note, Didi, you know, when I'm just observing you in the context of Madhuban and the bigger yagya. There's one thing to live in a center in a place, which can be a little bit like being in a goldfish bowl. You go from one side to another. But when you come to Madhuban, this is like an ocean.
Mm.
And ocean has no sides, no support. You have to swim with the strength of your own power. And I'm watching you stay in your power in this ocean. But one of the things that I'm observing is that so many people are coming to you with so many different bhavnas, with different expectations. But you've somehow managed to create a consistency in your being, in terms of being with them. You know, sometimes we can meet 5 or 6 people and then we go, that's enough. And the other day, you were just constantly meeting people, and yet there was a stream of something beneficial coming out for each one. And I thought, how does Didi do this? Where she's not taking on the tension of what people are bringing to her, but at the same time, she's giving something constructive. So can you just give us an insight into the secret?
They come for Baba's love. They come for Dadi's love. Yesterday, one family came and they said since she left home, she had decided to meet me because she hasn't met any Dadi. So everyone who comes, there are 3 types of people. They just wanted to feel vibrations of love, presence of Baba and Dadi. Secondly, they know that if they have problem or obstacle, they don't even wait for answer. They say, we just want to let you know. You know, so that kind of people. Thirdly, I think also people believe in blessings here a lot. So they think that, whatever we say, it will be like work as blessing. So Baba's love to everyone. And I always ask them if they are okay, they need anything. They have everything for them. They need for center anything. No, it's just their well-being that makes them feel very good, that it's all right. We are there to support them. We are there to sustain them. So one time Dadi Janki said, we used to get tired. There was a time after 20 people. Dadi said, when you don't expect anything, you only have to give. You won't be tired. But because you expect and it doesn't get fulfilled, then your tiredness comes. And I always remember those words. So even you think 5, 6, sometimes it's 80, 90, 100, different families, this one. And this lady was so happy because she said that was my desire and it got fulfilled. So when you see them happy, they feel they got something from Yagya, brings lot of happiness. So I'm not tired, but rather I feel very, very fulfilled that I could give what they expecting from me.
Didi, you've really stepped into an unlimited world mother role. I can see that because
I am.
There's you. That's what I love. That's our Didi. There's, just a last question is this thing of accommodating something. In Sakar Baba's time, okay, paristhiti means situations were coming. And in those times, they were coming from outside, but the tapasya to accommodate merged. There was no social media. But now, gaflat andar se ho rahi hai, means mistakes are happening from inside, our own family, between each other. And so when mistakes are happening from inside, what does it mean to accommodate? Not confront, but accommodate that. Is that also love?
There are 2 things. One is I feel that everyone had different sanskars, right? If somebody says something for me, if it's not what it is, then I see that person's sanskar and I leave it aside because I am not taking those sanskars.
Right.
So a lot of people like they playing through their sanskars. And I know that, but what I have to do is that person's sanskar. No, I have to record my own what I am. And a lot of people say 50 years ago, 60 years ago, things were different. Now they are different. So I said, I don't want to be different. I want to be what originally I am. There is a group came that day. They were all little and they used to come to Delhi. And two big hospitals were about few miles from the center. So everyone used to come, all dadis, everyone. So they must have, so they still remember so much. She said, since then, we look at not only me, but all our Lokik family as Lokik and Alokik family. And they keep talking. I said, but that, because they receive so much. Because I think that there are people at the right time need some support or even a medicine or anything. I think there is deep appreciation of that. So I think if caring nature is important, like Dadi had. Our Dadi was so caring.
Oh, I can definitely. You're so sweet. Really, I'm really getting an insight into how naturally you're working inside, where you ignore the sanskar, put that to one side, and just see what is it the soul we can give that soul now. Thank you very much, Didi. Really appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.